You're tuned in to the TVL Rundown, a comprehensive weekly look at the athletics inside the Twin Valley League. The TVL Rundown is a service of B&D Buildings in Axtell and the Citizens National Bank in Greenleaf.
B&D Buildings of Axtell specializes in post-frame buildings. Give them a call for stud-frame buildings with complete concrete and electrical work included. It's one call to get the job done. B&D Buildings, specializing in post-frame building construction, plus repairs and more. Always free estimates. Give them a call. B&D Buildings of Axtell, 785-294-0147. B&D Buildings at 785-294-0147.
Another reason to make the Citizens National Bank your bank. With the century of experience, you know you can count on us for convenient banking and personal service for people you know and trust. With extended hours and online banking for all your financial needs. Another reason to make the Citizens National Bank your bank.
Welcome into the TVL Rundown with Jeff Wurtz of the TVL Spotlight, Max Blaske of KNDY Radio. Jeff, it was a busy weekend in the state of Kansas. State volleyball, state cross country, and playoff football started, but we're going to start our congratulations to the area volleyball teams. We're going to start first in Class 1A Division II, where you happened to get the call as the Hanover Lady Wildcats claim the 2024 1A Division II State Volleyball Championship.
Yes, congratulations to Melissa Hawley and the Hanover Lady Wildcats. What just an entire postseason that they've had, and they showed up at the very end. You could tell the teams that were a little dragging at the end. You could tell that who had tired legs, and you could tell that Hanover was on their game, and they proved it up until the final set, the final point. They were just absolutely terrific in that last game.
And what another dominating year, 42-1 for a Wildcats team, your TVL tournament champions, regular season champions, and another trophy there in Hanover. Just how impressive was this Hanover squad this year? You know, a team that you got to see win that championship.
You know, this league has had a lot of dominant runs, not just in volleyball, but this might be one of the best runs that I think I've seen from a TVL team since its inception.
Like you said, I think over the cumulative last couple of years, once again, Hanover volleyball has shown to be heads and tails above the state competition. And another team that was down there at Emporia, the Lynn Bulldogs, made a state appearance. They took Hanover close in the first set there, 25-24 against the Lady Wildcats. Congratulations, too, for the Lynn Bulldogs making a run. And if I remember right, Jeff, that's a young team that has some potential, I think, the next couple of years to possibly be back in Emporia.
Without a doubt, I think the Lynn Lady Bulldogs really showed something this year, a late push in their season to get into this championship. And if anything, it's something to build on. It's not, and you saw that in these girls' eyes, it wasn't so much disappointment as it was, all right, now we've got to get better. We do this, now we can do this, and then do this. It's just progression. You know, this same with the Hanover team a few years ago. They didn't see defeat. They saw, okay, it's our first step. And that's where good teams come from.
And an excellent point. I mean, iron sharpens iron at the end of the day, and you have to play the best to be the best. And a team that maybe took that step this year after a step last year, the Valley Heights Lady Mustangs, a second-place finish in Class 2A out at Dodge City. I had the chance to call them on their, I'm going to call it historic run, their first championship game since 2001. And I think, Jeff, you mentioned before we went into state last week that the Mustangs had an opportunity to make some noise, and that they did.
I've never seen a more athletic group than Valley Heights this year. Just the athleticism. Strike out the volleyball prowess, the intelligence that they have, the pure athleticism that those players have. is what got them there. And that's not just starting on day one of volleyball season. That goes back to your off-season training, your workouts over the summer. This is a team that started their volleyball season in late May, early June, because they were ready to go all year long.
And again, it seems like a younger team, a group of core juniors that play second. I think to, again, keep an eye out for the Mustangs next year. Elsewhere across the league, two other area teams that had an opportunity there at state. The Centralia Lady Panthers finished second in Class 1A Division I, while the Clifton Clyde Eagles finished third. Again, dominance in another class at state volleyball from those two teams.
It was really hard to keep up if you were a fan of the Twin Valley League, just the sheer number of teams going to the state tournament this year, and they all really showed up very well. I think Clifton Clyde kind of flew under the radar a little bit with how well that they did, but they had a tremendous run as well last week.
Yeah, the Eagles went into the tournament, the 7 seed, took out 2-seeded South Gray. I think an impressive run there from the Eagles. Overall, 4 pieces of hardware coming back from the TVL in 3 different classifications after state volleyball last weekend. Again, I just to wrap it up, I think it was an unbelievable weekend for the TVL.
It really was, and I couldn't be more proud. I said this on my own show yesterday. I couldn't be more proud than I am after seeing all of these volleyball teams make it and knowing we still have football coming up where we're going to see some teams make deep runs as well. This may be one of the best seasons that I've seen in a long time from all of the sports.
We were joking a little bit earlier, us media people sure are tired, but it's a fun time of season. And not to be outdone either there. Last Saturday, it was state cross country. I know had many area qualifiers from a lot of TVL schools. I think a few finishers in the team standings. Looking at it real quick, Axtell boys finished 8th, Centralia boys finished 10th, Clifton Clyde right there at 9th too, and some good runs individually. Was there someone that stood out, or I guess a storyline from state cross country that stood out for you, Jeff, this last weekend?
Well, can I pass along a story that I didn't really even know until yesterday morning? And it has nothing to do with how they finished. This was printed by Wurtz in Kansas. We'll go ahead and give them the credit. Torrent Engelken of Centralia, in the middle of the 1A race at Wamego, saw a runner fall, and Torrent helped him cross the finish line. Neither of them were in a competitive spot to get points for their team, but above and beyond sports, this was just great sportsmanship. And I needed to give him a shout-out because that is beyond cool and just gives you a lot of hope and shows you what this Twin Valley League is really about. So, Torrent Engelken of Centralia, thank you very much for what you've done.
A part of sports that often gets, I think, overlooked is the sportsmanship that makes a sport. But I know over the course of years, many comments are made at state tournaments and stories like this that bring to light just the quality of kids that are in the TVL. Obviously, the athletic ability we chat about every week goes noticed, but those little stories like that, I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't want that story to go unnoticed.
No, and that's exactly what these kids are about. And it's good to see. Yeah, we talk about the scores and stats. Sometimes you have to hit the human level, and that's exactly what this was hitting the human level. So there was no way that I could let this show go today without mentioning his name.
And it was still a good day on the race. Like we mentioned, those team qualifiers from Axtell, Centralia, and Clifton Clyde, as well as your favorite runner, Titus Cobb, finishing 6th in the boys' race as well. Congratulations, all of those state cross-country runners. And quickly turning our attention to the football field as high school playoffs marches on this weekend. Games on slate. Centralia will host Olpe on Friday night. Valley Heights hosts Sterling on our KNDY game of the week on FM 95.5, while over on the 8-man side of the bracket, Axtell hosts Rural Vista, Clifton Clyde hosting Oswego. Hanover will be at Burlingame, and Frankfort will be at Marmaton Valley. Jeff, I think many of these teams have an opportunity to move on, but what's going to be a team that you're keeping an eye on this Friday night?
The matchup that I really like is that Clifton Clyde Oswego game. I also have a lot of eyes on Valley Heights and Sterling. Those two matchups are, I think, much closer than people would imagine. Now, I say that, and Coach Russ Steinbrock is listening, and he's going to go 45 Oswego in a quarter and a half and make me look like a fool, and that's fine. But those are the two that I'm really looking at. Clifton Clyde and Oswego, that Friday at 6, a 6 o'clock kick for that one, and then the Valley Heights Mustangs taking on 6 and 3 Sterling. I think both of those on both 8-man and 11-man levels are going to be tremendous this week.
And again, I think the balance in the TVL, there is still 6 teams left on the second weekend of the state football playoffs through 3 classifications. Again, I think an opportunity to bring home some hardware, especially on the 8-man level. And then as always, we'll chat more about that next week as we get wrapped up with the TVL rundown. Again, for Jeff Wurtz, this has been Max Blaske. Thank you for tuning in to the TVL Rundown. You've been tuned in to the TVL Rundown, a weekly comprehensive look at the athletics inside the Twin Valley League. The TVL Rundown is a service of B&D Buildings in Axtell and the Citizens National Bank in Greenleaf.